Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ServiceMonster podcast. I'm your host today, Joe Kowalski. And we talked a little bit about what we were going to bring to the table in terms of value. And I think with Michael here today, I want to tackle a troubling gorilla we've been wrestling for the past 3 months, which is we've managed to increase our lead acquisition by over 300% in the last quarter. That's a credit to the creative team, to Michael, content distributor, to myself, and us working together to come up with strategies and plans and then execute on them over and over and over and over. But not all leads are created equal. And we are in the process of cleaning the pipeline, even though the influx is good. Just because you have an influx, though, doesn't mean you're going to get more sales. And so I'd like to touch on that today. And again, we're putting the value portion at the beginning. Afterwards, of course, we'll go through SMUG updates with ServiceMonster and some actual product updates that have been released within the last 2 weeks. And again, thanks to the Nice Job team for coming out last podcast. They did a very good job of kind of outlining that their whole process and the business process in general of getting reviews and capturing information and moving stuff around. And so again, we thank them for their participation. So Michael, welcome.
Thanks.
What would you like to address today?
Well, first, I mean, you touched on it a little bit already, but just kind of our journey with leads and realizing that not all leads are created equal. I think for us, we can just briefly kind of cover just so everyone knows where we're coming from and kind of how we've kind of tackled this topic. Even though our company's different from a service business, I think a lot of the principles can still apply, and the approach, the mindset that you have towards leads. So like they said we increased leads by a ton. Part of that being, I think our product offering has improved a lot. And so there's been more interest, which is great. And that's what any business wants. But we found more and more with that increase of leads that some leads, even if we get a lot, even if a source has cheaper cost per lead, that doesn't mean they're good leads. And so that's
what makes a good lead, Michael?
A lead that converts into a sale.
Yes.
So yes,
that's the goal, ladies and gentlemen. In case you were confused,
your goal is to get a lead to become a paying customer. That is the overall goal.
Now, the difference between other players of the game and a company like ServiceMonster is we play the long game. Like, make no mistake, we create this content, this type of value content to help you grow your business, in part because we love helping you grow your business. It shows in our product that we make, but we also want you to keep listening and then eventually say, I need to at least check it out. And that's all we really ever ask for. And if you check it out and then you make your decision, like, I'm happy. But that's why we're doing this. That's why we're here. So for us, that's a long game. That may take 3 years to convert. You know, we just pulled and converted a cheerleader to our side from a previous competitor, solid competitor. When we first came on the scene, she was like, I don't know if I like this guy. And then over time, seeing what we do and really hearing other people's stories and what, you know, how we're helping people with our product and how we're positioned our company and so forth. She kept looking at it, and when it hit a certain point, she converted, right? I'm not going to out her now because the worst thing for us that happened is like it's not going well and it goes wrong. And, you know, and I don't want to prop any individual up, but I like the story as it relates to the cleaner. So again, turning the camera around, talk to your prospects and your clients, not your peers. And then generating that content is a long game to build the brand recognition so that when they think, man, I really got a problem, let me go check this out and see if it's worth it.
Exactly. That's interesting you brought that up about the recent lady or whoever you're talking about. Today there was a lead that I heard Annette talking about someone who had done the demo like 4 years ago. And then they called in, or no, it was Adam. They called in and Adam answered the call. And Adam's here. He's just not feeling well, so that's why I'm here. By the way, I know everyone likes Adam probably more than me, but it's okay. Adam's amazing. But he was saying that this person was calling kind of just inquiring about how the trial process worked because they had done the demo back 4 years ago. And I was like, wow, we've been seeing more and more of that lately.
We really have.
I pay attention to that because to me, it's helpful to know if we're getting more and more leads from the past kind of the general prospect kind of funnel of people who have at once been interested. So I think that's a good testament too. It's a quick plug for like your email lists and keeping track
cultivating
of all
not
lead
just
information.
your clients. If you're doing what we say and you're doing a client retention strategy and you're focused on that, that's great. But also, how about a prospect retention strategy? Like,
well, and that's one thing I was going to bring up about the kind of concept of not all leads are created equal is that they may not all be created equal, but that doesn't mean they're going to stay the same in how they, how likely they are to convert into a paying customer.
That's right.
I mean, there's like, you guys in service businesses, you get a lot of price shoppers. That's something we hear about constantly. I see on Facebook groups you do too about price shoppers and how much of a pain they are because it wastes your time. But a lead is a lead, and each one deserves some attention, some time.
Sure.
Obviously, you don't want to waste too much time.
You want to qualify.
Yeah.
You want to spend enough attention to do a proper qualification. Yeah. And that takes time. You can't just make assumptions, right?
Exactly. You don't want to make assumptions. And I asked Annette briefly about kind of her thoughts on this whole topic, and she said something about that of just give every lead a chance. Don't judge too early was kind of like a big thing that she talked about that we do, that the sales team does here.
But we do qualifying.
Yeah.
Because if they are expecting it to, perform some function that they need Word for,
exactly,
then they're looking at the wrong software.
Yep.
And another thing that I always like to say, those for our target prospects, those that we definitely would like them to be clients. You've heard the saying, on a long enough timeline, everyone's survival rate is 0, right?
Yep.
On a long enough timeline, everyone's a ServiceMonster user.
Yep. Yeah, just keep pushing out that marketing content, keep engaging with them.
In this case, everyone's a squeaking window cleaner. Everyone's a diamond carpet cleaner. Everyone's a right.
Yep. Well, I mean, if you're in the cleaning industry, everyone needs something cleaned at some point. They're just going to. It's the way the world is. The world is dirty. It's dirty. Inherently dirty. Everything's dirty. It's going to need to be cleaned. And like so with the price shoppers, maybe they call you, they find a cheaper price from the kind of less reputable business in town, and they get their carpets cleaned or their windows cleaned by them. They don't do a very great job.
Delivered on the
hoping not
in the process.
Yeah, something, and then maybe it's not a great experience, and then they remember you, or maybe they don't remember you. Actually, they probably don't remember you. But if you got their information, you can make them remember you.
That's right,
and that's the key there with
especially at a pain
not
point,
quality lead.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're standing on clean carpet, you don't need a carpet cleaner. When your carpet is dirty, you need a carpet cleaner. Mm-hmm. How do you be the carpet cleaner? One good way is just to stay in front of them, even if they don't act, even if they have a guy. When their guy fails them hard, like screw the guy, I know who to call. And so we get a lot of that too.
That's funny. Yeah, there's multiple people I've had conversations with on social media who use one of our competing softwares, and I talk to them once in a while. It's interesting. It's not anything. I'm not trying to like steal them necessarily.
The best product is the one you use.
Exactly. And like maybe it works for them, but they know that if it doesn't work for them or something happens, that we're here. That's valuable for us and valuable for them.
When they go on their 5th round of VC funding, or when they're sold, or when they're not maintained and spiral descent without any features or support. Any of that.
Exactly. So I guess moving on from that a little bit, but just kind of how this relates to a service business, is how a service business can kind of
pre-qualify.
Pre-qualifying is important, but also like capturing the data of your lead source, like knowing where your leads come from.
We have a whole podcast related to that. Go watch that if you haven't seen it. But ideally, you're going to want a form on your website that throws into your CRM that rings a bell for you.
And that's like if it's not that way, if it's referral lead, like we found that the referral leads for us tend to be way higher quality leads, more likely to convert. I would say it's probably going to be true for a lot of cleaning businesses as well.
That's exactly right.
That's because we've talked about this so many times about referrals and why it's so important to get to get referrals, to give an incentive to your past customers to refer their friends to your service, because those types of leads are just so much better usually than anything else you could possibly do.
And higher quantity. It's going to continually be in your top 5 performing campaigns if you're cultivating it correctly.
Yep.
And I'll drop a small bit of value here. We'll go off on a tangent just for a second, because I hear this conversation a lot about paying for referrals.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So a referral rewards program. I'm all for whatever works, right? The data shows, though, over the last 16 years of us collecting this type of data, that simply having a referral program is what makes it work, not the reward portion. So if you hand them 3 business cards and ask for that referral, the statistics that we have show there is marginal difference between giving them money and not giving them money. Mm-hmm. So just a little tidbit there. If you're already doing it, it's working for you, great. I wouldn't suggest you change it. You don't want to see that marginal difference turn into a 5 to 10% dip, and then you start getting pissed off at me because your revenue's in the red, right? Yep. So, stay on your journey. But I guess it's for the people who are sitting on the fence for a referral program because they're worried that they have to offer the reward and they're not getting the referrals because they're not asking for them. Yep. So stop that. Mm-hmm. Start asking for them. Hand them 3 business cards, not 2, not 4. 4 is an obligation. 2 is you don't care. 3 is the perfect number. Hand them. It's in math and science and art, and it's crazy. 3 shows up so everywhere. Yep. If you're a numerology person, like 3 is the bomb. 3 business cards, and then you say, I really appreciate me and my small business if you would share your experience with other friends and family. Yep. Done. Yep. There you go. Yep. Okay. Back to the topic.
That was actually really relevant. That was a really good thing to bring up, because that makes me think of, I see a lot of service businesses who kind of, they give like a gift package almost to their customers, like a mug and then like a magnet, I don't know, like random stuff.
Branded spotter is a big one, right?
Just stuff with their brand on them, which kind of ties into our branding podcast that we did, our 2-parter a few months ago, of just with those referrals, because we've established, and I'm sure most service businesses have this experience, that the referral leads are higher quality, is, like you're saying, really, really focusing on getting more of those, because it's like, it's harder. And like from the data perspective, like I like having data on what is most effective from a marketing perspective. Sometimes that can be hard to really pinpoint specifically what is most effective, because something like a referral, you may not be able to necessarily give that a monetary value, but if you know that that's the most effective and the most quality lead source, then it's probably going to be worth it to invest a little more in that, like by doing one of those gift packages. I mean, like that's a similar thing to handing them 3 business cards, you know, as doing something a little more. Like I know growing up, like my dad always had like a few random mugs from some business, like a mechanic or something. And I always saw those. And now like I think of those as like, if I think of a mechanic here in town, I think of this one, and and it's like, because I saw that mug just sitting around my house for like a few years when I was growing up. So those types of things are good. And my dad always goes there. So it's like, it's kind of that concept of investing more in the lead sources that are going to give you the best results, even if it's more expensive. It's the quality versus quantity thing.
But you make a good point, and one that I want to touch on again for the millionth time, is that no single campaign is going to give you what you want. Yep. It's not going to generate an influx of leads. You're like, oh, this is the one, baby. Yep. This is the one that's going to bring in like 500. It's like, no, it's not. You've been through this before. And if you haven't collectively, I'm telling you, we've been through this before. What it takes is getting your brand built within the community and making that equal to the products and services that you offer. Yep. So when they do have a problem, they know who to call. Yep. Now, what's interesting is that means that any one lead source you track is a lie. Mm-hmm. It's fake news. Mm-hmm. But how much is it fake news? So you're creating a cohort. So forget about the lead source. Let's look at statistics. Yeah. You're creating a cohort, and you're saying which cohort performs better than the other cohorts. Yeah. And it's not the full story. So it means that you probably shouldn't take all of your resources out of all the other cohorts to dump them into a single cohort. And the reason why is a concept that we call loft. And it's this, you're going to see your brand in 3, 5, 6, 8 different places. It's going to stay there. It's going to be on the mug on the shelf. It's going to be on the Little League sign. It's going to be on that newsletter that you send out that they don't read. They just delete, but they don't unsubscribe because they want to see the name. Because they know that eventually there's going to be an action associated with that. It's going to be a prompt. So loft is important. Tracking your lead sources is important, but understanding them in context of loft is critical. But then, yes, in those cohorts, you can start to make intelligent decisions. If you've got one lead source that is converting higher average invoices and a much higher rate, you're going to figure out, how are people getting into that lead source and how do I get more of that to happen?
Exactly. Yeah. Those are the quality leads, which really are what you want. Like, we have some lead sources that were cheap, but the leads were cheap, like in the sense that they weren't high quality leads, and still aren't. And that's okay. You learn. And I think even in a service business, like we always talk about different strategies you can use for marketing, different types of campaigns, whether a physical thing like flyers or door hangers, or like different type of social campaigns, or like Google paid ads,
all the digital stuff,
whatever you do, it's worth doing them at some point to see if it works.
To track the cohort.
Just see what the results are. And also don't give up too soon on them.
I was just going to say. How do you define what works? Because here's what I'll hear. Oh, I did a postcard one time to a list I bought from Melissa Data that was aged 6 months. I got a 30% return rate and only one job, and they wanted a cheap service. Yes, that's 100% what you're going to get off one campaign over and over and over. Now, what happens though, if you do that to like the neighborhood or the same list every 6 weeks, you send them 3 different pieces of mail. What you've done now is created loft, and you've created the top of mind awareness for the products and services that you offer from the beginning of the mailer that they receive to somewhere around 2 to 3 months after the last mailer they've received. And so you can extend, instead of being transient, this one moment in time where they see you and it goes away. Now you've got a breadth of time, a bigger net, and you're going to catch more people that have problems. So it didn't work, doesn't cut it, because I will say, and this is the hard part because you have to spend money to do this, you have to be a practitioner before you can call it not good.
Exactly.
You have had to fail in every way possible and understanding every nuance that you can usher in. Instagram doesn't work. Well, are you using it like EDDM? Yep. Okay, you're right. It's not going to work.
Exactly.
So be cautious with it doesn't work, right? But at the same time, you got to collect the data to see if anything that you're doing is moving the needle at all.
Yeah, especially in this winter season, it gets a little slower for a lot of cleaning businesses.
I mean, now, right? This is all. This is all like put away everything. This is time to be in school for the next 3 months.
Exactly.
Right. Tightening up your business, getting the work you can, but really focusing on.
And it's a good time to kind of go through the data too. Really kind of crunch the numbers.
What worked in summer? What worked in spring? Spring's launching again. Start thinking about your marketing now. How did you get your best leads last year?
Exactly.
Where did they come from, and how can you get more of them? There's some homework that'll turn into money.
That's great advice right there. So do that. Do that, please, for your own sake. It's great. I think that's pretty much it with the lead thing. I think we've covered
beat that up to death.
Covered some good stuff there. So first of all, happy Thanksgiving.
Everybody ready? We're going to fry turkey now.
Kirk, you're burning the house! Woo! Holy moly!
Don't get it! Don't get it! Don't eat the turkey! Kelly, get out of there!
Oh my gosh, you're right.
This podcast will be coming out either right before or right after Thanksgiving.
Probably right after.
Yeah, probably.
Unless Justin really tightens it down, but it's a lot of content.
Just a few days there. Yeah. So we had a mobile release this past Wednesday. So this it was November 20th. So
yeah, let's just date it
now.
Sure.
Yeah, November 20th, there was a mobile release version 1.2.4. Make sure to update to that if you haven't already. Just a few fixes within that.
When we put the splash, oh my gosh, this is perfect. We put the splash screens in.
That was even the release before this one.
Oh right,
yeah.
But we didn't talk about
that one
either.
Yeah.
So this was an effort to clean the lead pipeline because the most egregious source of low dollar, low quality leads was our mobile platforms, iOS and Android, and it was about 20%. Was okay, but about 75 to 80% of those leads were junk.
Yep.
And almost none of the ones that come through mobile were converting.
Yep.
And so what did we do? We put some screens in the beginning after the download to say, did you want Target? Because this is Saks Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
Before you fill out that trial button, no, this is a monthly platform, not a freemium with ads. Mm-hmm. And so, and we're starting to see that have an effect on the percentage of what we call qualified leads. Whether they convert or not is still outstanding.
Yep. Got to give it time.
That's
there
right.
we go. We got to give it time.
Got to
see
give it
what
time.
Works.
Believe me, though, this is like fetal position. In not sleeping at night kind of time.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm there. I'm less there now than I was a couple of weeks ago because we finally caught up.
Yeah.
The trial process is now equal and slightly greater to the sales process we previously had. So I'm sleeping again.
That's good. That's great. We all need that. So that's a great thing in the mobile release because actually there have been 2 releases. I don't have the notes on the previous one, but this
minor
is
bug fixes and yep.
Nothing. If you want to view the release notes, there. Did we post the mobile release notes
on the store?
Yeah, in the store.
That's right.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So if you want to see, I know we see a lot of just random minor issues that only affect a few people. So we address those, we get them fixed. So
and Brian is currently working on a site rebuild because we know unless you do sites perfect the first time through, there's some major friction points. We just hadn't done use cases on site handling yet, so that'll be out in the next release. And we're putting back the sliding of the date picker.
On top of debut.
He tried to take one pass at it, and it kind of was throwing a fit for him. So I was like, "Well, go get some wins," And so he's going to come back at that once we get that date stuff. But hopefully that'll be one release, and we'll just
I think a lot of people will be happy about that.
Yeah, so. I was surprised by how many people didn't know to tap on the date. That natively, intuitively, they went to the swipe on the calendar.
This is more visually obvious.
Yeah, but swipe was swipe was never a thing in Mobile 3, and it's a thing everywhere for really advanced features.
Yeah, it's true.
And nobody knew about it.
Yeah,
weird.
Yeah, it's interesting. See, we're learning right there about mobile use and how people interact with it. So it's great stuff. Holiday FMS campaign.
Yeah, that's
today,
done.
Right now, which is going to be like a week or something
Today's
more.
the 22nd, right?
Yes, it is the 22nd. Was the last day for guaranteed shipping. So by the time you guys see this, it'll be past that. But you can still place a Christmas card order.
Yes, we'll just ship it normally.
Yeah, there's no necessarily guarantee on when it'll be delivered by, but within reason. I'm not going to promise anything because that would potentially get me in trouble with the people downstairs who do FMS. But, if it's a few weeks before Christmas, it'll probably get to your customers before Christmas still.
Yep. Get those orders in quick, though. Like, stop procrastinating on that.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to get them done earlier than last minute like this. If you want to talk about the cleaning podcast real quick.
Yeah, I'm super excited by this, guys. I found myself woefully ignorant after 16 years of understanding the chemistry and process of cleaning. I clean stuff at home, and I run a homestead and I understand microbiology, and I generally get it. And I was a biomedical polymer chemist, so I understand the basic chemistry, but I don't understand it the way these experts understand it. And some of these guys, highest integrity, top-notch educators.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I need to go figure out this. This is an area where I'm woefully ill-equipped to talk about. And you'll go through all of our content. You will never see me giving advice on how to clean anything.
Yep.
Just because I stick to what I know. Like I get a random DM every once in a while. This happened 2 times last month. Hey, Joe, you know a lot about a lot of stuff. How about this weird arbitrary thing? I'm like, yeah, I know nothing about that. I only talk about the stuff I know.
Yep.
So anyway, so I don't know about cleaning. So I went to go see if I could learn, and I found out there's a big vacuum of really credible cleaning sources. There's some how-tos, on YouTube of how to scrub a pot or wipe down a car. But even in there, they're like, we don't understand the chemicals. We just spraying it on and it works. And that bothers me, right? And there's lots of that kind of stuff. And you're task-oriented. I get it. I need to get X, Y, Z done. How do I do it? Okay, that's how I do it. I do it. Do I need to understand why it happened? You don't have to, but it makes you a credible business owner. It makes you more of an expert. It makes your value of your business and your services go up, and your clients can rely on you not to do shit. The landscaper who doesn't know plants, like that's not the person I want landscaping my yard.
Yeah.
And if all I'm doing is hire to cut grass, I still want them to know the difference between a freaking perennial and an annual and a juniper and like a weed and a petunia.
Yeah.
Right. Just like, yes, I weed whacked. Oh, thanks. And you took out all my tomatoes. Yeah. Those weren't weeds, man. So it's the same thing with carpet, the same thing with house cleaning, is the same thing with window cleaning. It's like, if I know you're an expert in something, then I'm going to give you some more credit, some street cred. So here's the thing. So I decided to do the journey in public. So I hit up some of these master cleaning experts, and they were all for it. Like, I have an amazing cast. There's like 7 or 8 people who are lined up who are like, totally, I'm going to be part of this. So we're starting an exclusive content for cleaning how-tos, breaking down process, chemistry, science, like, going to the mat, because you get so much power when you understand things at that level. Because then you can understand, I have this problem. I've never seen it before, but I understand the base chemistry, which means I knew which tool in my tool bag to grab and make sure that that's taken care of. And so I think that's going to be a very valuable resource. We recorded the first one earlier today, which is great. I know that you and Mark have already started working on the branding. I did the bumpers day before yesterday. I've listened to them like 90 times. I don't really like them. Like, I'm the biggest fan already of just the bumpers. So I'm excited by where it goes. We're going to try it. We're going to see what's up. But yes, podcast exclusive content for cleaning how-tos with the industry's most knowledgeable experts. So
one thing that I thought of while you're talking about that, of just kind of the value for any cleaner with this kind of podcast, of knowing not just how to clean, but like why this type of cleaning works, like how, like what the chemistry is behind it, is helpful, I think, in kind of the way that many, it probably differs around the United States, but especially around here, people are very environmentally conscious.
Totally.
And a lot of cleaning uses chemicals of some sort. And I know a lot of people are very, very cautious about what chemicals are being used in the cleaning process. And so if you're very educated on what these chemicals are, what they do, what potential harmful side effects they have.
That's one thing I'm going to dive into is like exposure, because
it's extremely valuable.
Sean had a story just a couple months ago of one of his clients that he coaches. One of their technicians died, carbon monoxide poisoning. He took it upon himself to mix up a batch of chemical and then killed himself
because he did it wrong and
didn't understand the chemistry. Something happened there where he's created a giant amount of carbon dioxide or monoxide and put his ass to sleep and killed him.
Wow.
So that's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we're in the cleaning industry, we're not usually subject to transient issues, right? Meaning that, you don't fall and die right there. It's like not like iron steel workers or like underwater iron or people like fishing, like all the things that you don't want to do because, 30% of you die.
Exactly.
I'm not going to tree people. I think that's the lumberjacks. Isn't that the biggest one?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So we're not used to that in the cleaning industry. But you know what unsung data that is sicknesses, cancer rates, right? Miscarriages. Like, there's no data on it. But I would be willing to put money on those statistics being higher simply because of the materials and the chemicals that are being used.
Yep.
And so, I think this
and
knowledge
misuse
is
of
important.
those, misuse of those chemicals.
And then also liability, right? So you're a house cleaner. You've been cleaning Mrs. Jones' house for 6 months. They've got this rug that's their family heirloom lug. There's something wrong with it, and they want you to pull a stain out of it. Just can you hit that and you use something that you think is just fine, but it ends up damaging it, and then you find out the rug is $20,000 heirloom Afghan rug, and now they're suing you for $20,000.
That would not be fun.
And this has happened to especially carpet cleaners over and over again. Yeah. So be knowledgeable about what you're doing out there. And so we're pushing this as an education piece. Put your earbud in, and just go. Yep. So I'm pretty excited. The first one was great. Sean did a great thing. We did a deep dive on what is clean. What does that even mean?
Nice.
And so you can get all kinds of twisted there.
Seriously, what is clean?
And I told a story about a doctor and washing hands and all that kind of fun stuff. So
cool. That's
check it
awesome.
out.
Yeah, that'll be out. We'll start pushing that content pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that. Also, the maid services webinar. I just want to briefly mention that again.
Still don't have a date because it's dependent on 6.5, and then we need some time to market it. Yep. So it is definitely within the next 3 months.
Yep.
So if your maid services out there listening, start chatting us up.
Yep.
Hey, have you heard about ServiceMonster? They're gonna have a thing. Pay attention.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll get something out there.
Cool. All right, so just a few SMUG posts real quick. SMUG has been relatively quiet the past few weeks, which is in a way good. I think less issues with mobile. Mobile has been really solid now, which is amazing. We're really happy about that.
If you're listening and you grimaced at that, then hit us up.
Yeah, because we need to know.
We need to know, and we think things at this point are pretty damn solid. We know sites are a major problem, so we're surfing that out. And I still want to get the accounts receivable module.
Yeah,
super easy. Get paid from your truck.
Yep, exactly. So the first one, someone just commented asking, Pat said, when flipping through the days on map view, it doesn't change the map. Brenda pointed out you have to hit the refresh button on the schedule to redraw the map.
Yes,
just real quick.
Let me tell you why. Because a year ago, that service, maybe 18 months ago, that service cost us $0
through Google.
Yeah. Last month it was $12,000. You guys are killing me. Again, I'm going to raise prices. I'm going to do it. I keep saying it. I'm going to do it. Don't be surprised when I do it come the first of the year-ish. Like, I'm going to do it.
First of the year-ish.
Yeah.
There we go.
I always got to leave myself a little bit of wiggle room.
Exactly.
This 12,000 is ridiculous. So one of the things that we did when we saw these runaway costs was we went back and said, well, what can we do to kind of tamp down the unnecessary requests? We're still working through that. I think that we can shave that down to about $8,000 a month. I hope we've got some things in place now that will be coming in the 6.5 release that I hope will address that. But
cool.
Yeah, it's you got to hit refresh, man, because it costs me money every time you do. Yep.
And it's, I think with the map view too, like a lot of times if you're just flipping through the days real fast, it's not going to be the most necessary thing.
No,
it's like
or you throwing jobs on from the sidecar.
Exactly. If you need to see it, it's just one extra click. So that's just to address it so people know that's not broken, that's intentional functionality.
Yep.
Ken asked, this was just yesterday actually, about the opportunities count in his dashboards, and you kind of briefly touched on that. So if you want to maybe just briefly explain a little more, this opportunities, and then the next SMUG post is your one about dashboards.
Oh, nice.
So I brought up some maybe those two together, kind of dashboards.
It is because I don't want to, which I did in the response, gloss over the fact. I think he was talking about a bigger question mark about the numbers than just the opportunities.
Yeah.
He gave me opportunities with some meat.
Yeah. So
I went after the meat and I left the what's it all mean alone. I think there's a bug in there. It doesn't look right to me.
Opportunities.
So what it's supposed to show is your current number, and then the last year's number and or change from last year's number, and the total percentage up or down of that change.
Yep.
And I don't think that's what it's showing right now. I think something got updated and something's weird with that dashboard. So
maybe
know that we're working on dashboards across the board, and we're giving dashboards for every section, which is leading to this next post.
Yep.
But I wanted to undress the undertoad. That's what my wife calls it, the undertoad.
Undertoad?
Yeah, it's going to get you.
Undertoad. That's nice.
So then the question that I answered was related to opportunities. Now, opportunities are a mechanism for tracking multi-touch sales processes through a Kanban board. And it allows you to create steps, a series of processes or process steps, and then move that opportunity from each step to the next while you chase that lead in order to convert them into a sale or to an account.
Yep.
That's what an opportunity is. And so that count represents how many opportunities you have in the pipeline or that you processed within that period of time.
Yep. Pretty straightforward.
I think so.
Yep. So you posted November 15th in SMUG.
Just
a little sneak peek into some exciting new features that are going to be out some point
6.5.
6.5.
Yep, the beautification.
Yep. So if you want to talk a little bit, I mean, obviously we're going to go deep into that when it's out, but just a little background on where you're approaching that. So
now that we have inventory control, and equipment tracking will be released. I believe it will be released with 6.5, which does include some mobile changes as well, which is awesome. Checking and checking out equipment, that kind of stuff. I can calculate per job how much money in consumables it's costing you. I can calculate how much in depreciation it's averaging you per job. And with one additional field on the employee screen, the estimated hourly wage, I can now calculate labor costs based off their check-in and check-out time. So I can give you cost of goods sold on each job. That prompted me to create a data warehouse with an invoice fact table where we're tracking so much great information that's allowing these dashboards to be much easier to build, much more reliable because the queries aren't as insane. Anytime things get more complicated, they're more prone to error regardless. That's just Octom's razor. So if we're able to do this and just share that, just amazing. Yeah. So we've broken it into residential and commercial, but we're showing you your margin on each job or on your average job. We can show it on each job. We track it in the fact table, but that's not what this dashboard is. It's your average information over a 90-day period of time, your margins, your cost of goods sold, your average invoice, and then the breakdown of your average labor, your average consumable, and your average depreciation. Yep. So very important number to have because that's the health of your business. Yep. And it's going to take some plugging in because if you don't plug in the labor numbers and you're not going to get labor, if you don't plug in inventory control, we won't know how much consumables you're using per project. Yep. And if you're not plugging in your equipment, we won't know about depreciation. Yep. So this is going to come at a cost. And that cost is basically using inventory control. You can go in and for one time put in equipment and be done and depreciation will calculate. You don't have to use it as it's intended with check in and check out or hook it up to services or products and get your inventory route sheet, load out, or none of that stuff. Yeah. You just have to put them in. Inventory, you do have to do some hookup and setup. So it knows every time to close an invoice based off the services that you provided, which chemicals have you used. And then it can calculate your cost based off that. So So that's what that little dashboard drop was. Yeah, very, very important number. Probably the second most important KPI to a service business next to repeat rate. Everyone knew I was going to say that.
Yep.
Take a drink.
2 shots of vodka.
New game.
Right, there we go. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, I think I'm excited about this just from a marketing perspective of this really falls in line with our focus on helping service businesses grow, really like taking everything that we can, like squeezing everything we can out of the data that you put into ServiceMonster and giving it back to you in a beneficial way where you can monitor it, you can use it, you can set goals, and that's what we want to do. We want to provide even more value of being able to help businesses grow, and you know, this is a step to even doing a better job of that, providing a better software that doesn't just help you schedule your jobs and get paid, but actually helps you kind of in the more like the taking a step back and looking at your business as a whole, not just the day-to-day stuff, but the overall big picture of your business. So,
and as they say, kids, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, this is only the beginning.
Man, because I had to build this fact table and this warehouse structure. Now I'm geeking out about it just because it's just so much easier to do stuff. So I put forth the upfront effort.
Mm-hmm.
Now if I do the same thing for accounts, employees, and appointments,
be so much data.
Oh my gosh. And so many ways that we can represent it.
Yep.
And I'm looking at ways right now to put some of that power in your hands. So, and then I'm also looking at cross sections and cohorts and, you know, how do you pair up to your state averages?
There we go.
Right. So that's what I mean. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yep.
We've got so much fun stuff planned.
Yep.
So anyway, that's,
yeah, that's it. That's all I have.
Very good.
So,
well, we hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for your attention. Please find us on all of your favorite social media outlets, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all your podcast platforms as well. And look for the cleaning podcast coming out pretty soon.
Yep.
Pretty excited about that project. Until next time, be safe.
Yep. Thanks.